Alright, so today I had to practically make my own tier list because the last one hasn't been updated in almost 2 months. So I had to go ahead and search up all the characters and download the pictures and change it to PNG because it's a WebP format, like bro. And then boom, I added all the new characters. At least I'm pretty sure. Hopefully I didn't miss any. It's also unorganized. Let me just go ahead and fix that real quick. That should be good. Yo guys, welcome back to another FiveNightsTD video, and today we're going to be doing another tier list. And it's only been 2 weeks since I've done my last tier list, but ever since that video they've added basically since Cowboy Freddy up until this Apex Bonnie, which is literally 15 new characters in only 2 weeks. And they're going to be adding like what, another 15 in just this weekend's update, which is tomorrow, which is crazy. And obviously I need to update my tier list once that update happens as well. But of course, before that happens, I need to get this tier list out so we can know the placements of all these characters before the next batch of characters drop. Because once this weekend's update drops, I'm pretty sure the tier list is going to be looking very different, because usually when a new season drops, especially since we're also getting a Scott evolution this weekend, like yeah, there's going to be a bunch of new top tiers. There's going to be a bunch of new garbage characters we're going to have in the lower tiers. And speaking of that, let me just go ahead and rank everyone else that's in the lower tiers real quick, and then we'll get back into it. Okay, so what I think I'm going to do for this part of the video is I'm actually going to rank everyone here and give a brief summary of what they are and whatnot. So let's get started. Bad, 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 bad. In fact, let me just speedrun the bad characters real quick. Okay, so basically everyone here, I'm just going to say that they're bad. For some characters, they're bad for a different reason, so let me go ahead and talk about that real quick. So with Freddles, I think I'm actually going to put them even lower, because the big reason why they're bad is because supports don't even work on Freddles, and I guess with summoning characters, range support doesn't matter anyways, but the damage support does work. And apparently the enchants didn't even work on them either, so before that fix, they were even worse. But yeah, their DPS isn't completely too good, and they still have some weird bugs with their tracking, so they're just bad either way. They're either not that bad or bad, you know. And basically I kind of divided them all with Freddy here, and then like everyone above Freddy at least has something going for them. Like this guy actually does some decent damage. And basically most of these characters have an AoE ability, which makes them slightly above average to everyone here, but still they're bad AoE characters and bad characters in general. And it's basically unordered too. This guy also has a slowing ability, which makes him slightly above. And I was also going to include someone like Phantom Foxy, but he actually has like double the DPS than like this guy or something, so yeah, we'll just put him a tier higher. But yeah, everyone here is just bad. Oh, and of course, I saved the baddest for last, and he's right there. And this is just the worst support in my opinion. In fact, there's actually one more that I want to include, and that's Hawaii. We'll get more into that later, but basically, there's just like a million range supports, and he's the worst one right now, so he belongs in D tier just because of that. Anyways, moving on to the next part, basically all these characters are decent, and I also don't have that much to say about them, so let's just go ahead and quickly rank them. Alright, I believe that should be it. I obviously want to save all of the new characters for later if I do put them on these lower lists. But yeah, while doing this, I did notice 3 bad characters I forgot to place down here. That being this guy, he's also a support, so he can go all the way at the bottom. This glitch cupcake, not very good, but at least they have full AoE, so they can go like at the upper echelon of it. And then the sniper cupcake can go up here or something. And then yeah, so basically for C tier, it's for the most part like not ordered, but I do have them around the places where I want them to be or whatever. I can just like switch it around a lot though, but yeah, there's like a lot of characters where I'm like kind of teetering to put lower at this point. Like this Wither Foxy, like they can go down a tier. And it's to the point where we might end up seeing like this Pyre Foxy even go down a tier as well. Same with the Plain Boy and Withered Bonnie. I just don't really like them anymore. And also, yeah, I also wanted to basically save Patriot for last. I think he's going to be like the last one who belongs in this tier, besides maybe one of these new characters. But yeah, I basically will just give a brief summary of a lot of these characters. Basically, all the way up until Sentinel, they're all just outdated characters who don't do that good, and a lot of these characters, they can't go higher in the tiers because they only do single target DPS, including this Abyssal Foxy, and he's not even doing that high of DPS. In fact, I can just put him like really low, so he doesn't do like that much DPS compared to other towers, and his slowing ability is now like a lot less valuable. He used to be really valuable because he used to do one of the best DPS and be one of the only slowing characters, but there's infinitely better slowing characters now. So he's definitely one who I would say has aged a lot. And then something like this Endo aged a lot because of the DPS, and of course these characters like Plain Boy and Withered Bonnie used to be really good DPS characters. Sentinel Bonnie also aged. His hitbox is just really big. There's bigger hitboxes, but it's pretty annoying. And then his single target DPS is just not enough to compete, especially since he doesn't do that much DPS in the grand scheme of things. And yeah, I could just keep moving everyone here, but it's the same with Patriot as well. His damage is just not enough anymore. And yeah, these are all just pretty mediocre characters because there's like better options now. And yeah, that should be it for this tier. Let's move on to the next couple of tiers. Okay, so I think that's it for this tier. So I wanted to like include these three, like I put them up here because I wanted to show that they would also go to this tier despite them being like kind of new or whatever. But yeah, this is also kind of for the most part not that organized, and there might be some surprising faces here. But yeah, a lot of these characters actually have evolutions, and a lot of them do belong in this tier. I guess the ones that kind of seem like they shouldn't would be like War Machine, maybe Scott, and then like these characters. So I think Hydra themselves actually can go in A tier, but for some reason they do kind of feel like a B tier character. I think I need to like use them like fully maxed out and whatnot, but they basically just don't feel like they're doing the 5,000 max DPS that they like should be. Like, I don't know, they just feel weaker than what they're promised. But yeah, they're obviously not going to be S tier though. But yeah, they might not be B tier. And then it's going to be like the same for like this Leviathan. Like I can put them up higher. This Nightmare Mangle, I think they could just stay here. And then this Valkyrie Chica is basically because solo DPS is just really that bad right now in my opinion. But I guess I wouldn't completely mind them going to A tier and whatnot. And then this Flame Empress Chica, just extremely underwhelming for whatever reason. I guess I could put them in the A tier, but we will see how I feel. But yeah, if they go to A tier, they for sure would be bottom of A tier. But yeah, I think I basically want to move on to A tier next to see how I'm completely feeling. And I also forgot another mid-tier character, who is this Endo04, and I don't really care where they get placed. But yeah, they basically just don't do that much damage at all. But yeah, let's move on to some A tier placements, but we're almost done with placing all these characters. In fact, there's actually a bunch of supports as well. I think Crying Child can stay in B tier support. Let me actually quickly rank the supports and have this be its own section. So yeah, I obviously still think these two supports are the best of the best. And then Plus Trap can go in like bottom of A. All the supports are going to be in the bottom. I think no one's really complaining about that. So everyone's chill with that. And then you both are like the same tier of support, I feel like. And there's one more support, but they're like in the new like characters. So yeah, let me just rank everyone in the old. And then I've ranked like these characters in the old tier list, but I still want to like include them in this part. Besides these three, because they're secrets. I don't think people really care, but yeah. But yeah, this is how I would rank them. I would probably, I could just leave them there. Yeah, it's fine. But yeah, let's go ahead and rank A tier real quick. All right, so this is how it's looking like so far. I could probably do some changes in the tier list. But yeah, I should probably really get into ranking all the new characters. So, and I can also definitely talk about the character placements now. There's like a pretty notable gap with like C tier to B tier. I think everyone in B tier is like viable, and then everyone here is just like notably mid, or like just hard to use in a way, or in a sense. Or just have bad performance overall, like outdated performance, where they could definitely be used in like older stages or something. But yeah, also, oops. Anyways, a lot of these characters also have evolutions too, and I think most characters will end up getting an evolution, so it makes sense that they'll be on the lower tiers. But yeah, like I think if anyone could move up to A tier, I think it would be all the way down to like the Spectral Chica or something. They can move up. But yeah, for now, let's just rank everyone else. This guy is decent. Like, he can still stay in like A tier. His DPS is good, but not the best. I think he'll just stay in A tier because solo DPS is just not enough. And then, yeah, like the rest of the placements, basically these three are pretty similar. But I like Springtrap the most because of his like cost. And his piercing mechanic is basically what puts him higher. And this is like the tippity top of the tier. So yeah, obviously his evolution is going to be up there. And Glitch Puppeteer, I will admit, just he's still good, so that's why he's in A tier, but he's not at the top of the top at this point. And then same with like Hydra and you right here. So yeah, there's like people who are in S tier belong in S tier, and I think these three kind of do. But yeah, like Goliath, Endo, Freddy, he's kind of been replaced. I guess we'll get more into that once we rank the other characters. But yeah, let's go ahead and rank this Puppeteer. I think they could barely make it into S tier or just stay at the top of A tier. I'll rank other characters so I can know for sure. And then same with this Bounded, like really good DPS, but his range is really bad. So that's like the really big catch with him. This guy definitely deserves S tier. In terms of how high he is, I think he's for sure higher than Goliath. I'm not gonna lie. The Goliath, I guess I'll talk more about him. He's just like practically unusable in story mode. Like, yeah, you could. I should have like posted this video already. But I like made a video testing on if he's still usable in story mode, and like technically yes, but the lengths you would have to do that is like either play obviously like the stage, which is Fnaf 4 Night 6, and you would get enough money because of how much money you get from that stage. You get so much money from it, so you either play that or you have to use like only money makers for like a normal stage. You have to use only money makers, and you have to play on nightmare mode. And you have to you have to go out of your way just to like max him out. Like, this is because of the nerf that like he's more expensive to place down now, and because of the cash nerf. Like, it obviously was way worse when it initially happened, so it was like literally impossible to even use him at that point. But they made it like not as bad, the cash nerf, but it's still like noticeably worse than what it used to be. So yeah, like, it's hard to use him in story mode. He's still really good for endless though, but like Springtrap is also like usable in endless, so I will just put him higher. Anyways, purple guy. So there was a recent like balance change where they buffed both of Tarnish and purple guy, and honestly I think from that buff, I think Tarnish is just noticeably better now. So I think their DPS was actually pretty close, but purple guy ended up doing less DPS than Tarnish. But purple guy had more range and was cheaper to place down, and like cheaper in cost, like in total. But with the balance change, Tarnish does a good amount more DPS now, and purple guy only got more range. I think the extra damage that Tarnish does just gives him that extra bit of push where he's better now. They're still pretty close, but I think Tarnish does just win it just because he does more damage now, like by a good amount, which I feel like is pretty nice, you know. But yeah, if their damage was closer, then I think purple guy would just be higher, just because he's cheaper to like place down and max out. So yeah, he used to be better, like in my opinion, but now I think Tarnish is just slightly better now. Anyways, moving on, we have all of the new characters, and let's just quickly rank them all. Basically this is a new rare, so they're just gonna be all the way in D tier. I don't really know their placements, but I know he's slightly better than average for these rare characters, but it's still like bad performance. And then the Maestro Puppet is literally the same as this. Like, they have the same exact stats, I'm pretty sure. I think one of them might end up being cheaper to max out or something, but I don't know if that's true or not. So I guess whoever ends up having like more range or is cheaper to like max out ends up being better, which I don't know if they're actually different in that. But yeah, I think they're basically the same character. Alright, so I'm not gonna lie, with like characters who aren't secrets and stuff, so I know everyone's stats here, but like Tavern Chica, I didn't really look into her stats. By the way, she has like the exact same like pose as this Bakery Chica, I just noticed. But her stats look really good. She looks like she's just a better version of this Phantom Balloon Boy, so I think she could actually end up being in B tier, just because she's cheap and actually does like almost 1000 DPS. So hopefully this thing isn't lying to me, because that actually looks like some decent stats. So yeah, like bottom of B or something, maybe even higher. I should probably actually look more into this character, because they seem pretty decent. And then Blind Eye, it seems like he's straight up just a modern day version of the Abyssal Foxy, doing slightly less DPS, but it's like way cheaper to actually max out and place down and stuff. So since they are single target, I think they're just going to be at top of C, but I could also see them bottom of B or something, because it doesn't seem that bad. But yeah, there's better slowing characters, and single target just doesn't cut it nowadays. Alright, and then Bounty Mangle and Jackpot Freddy. Jackpot Freddy, I haven't really thought of where I would put him, but the thing is with him is that he just doesn't do nearly as much DPS as these two characters, but at least he does, I guess, generate cash. But yeah, I feel like his value, is worse, but obviously still like a decent starter, so I guess I'll put him in like A tier for now. And then the Bounty Mangle, so It's kind of the same thing. I think I do like Bouncy Mangle more because he ends up generating more cash, I'm pretty sure. And yeah, cash is like pretty important now with the cash nerf, and especially if you're using one of the more expensive characters, which there is a lot of expensive characters now, especially with like literally like basically this whole area. And of course the Goliath and no Freddy. So I think this Bouncy Mangle has a lot of value because he generates cash and does like enough DPS, unlike like other characters like I guess Blind Eye, where their DPS is noticeable. Like it's 3,750 max DPS. It's like nothing compared to like a lot of these characters. So I think I'm actually gonna move down Jackpot to like the bottom of A, maybe, and then Bouncy can stay up there. I can definitely see Bouncy in B tier, but for now I like the idea of Bouncy Mangle right now. And I guess it's like no secret that I'm gonna have a lot of these expensive characters in like S tier. So because he generates cash, these two generate cash, they have value to them because of that. So yeah, for now I'm gonna keep them A tier. Maybe next tier list I'll have a better idea, especially if there's more money makers. But yeah, like if you have a unique ability like making money, that is obviously a very good ability that these characters have. Like it's really different from a moneymaker who actually contributes by doing damage and a moneymaker who just is solely there to make money. And yeah, like this guy is also cheaper than Fazcade, and I believe they just make more money than Fazcade as well. So yeah, very like good for the money making, and they just have like good enough stats. So yeah. Alright, so we got Slick Bonnie and then Gunslinger. So Gunslinger actually has like respectable DPS where he's at like 10,000 DPS and also costs 12,000 to place down. So his stats are like similar to this Valk Chica basically, but like for 2,000 more cash he basically does a lot more DPS. And then he does more DPS than this Fractured Bonnie as well. So I think he's just a better version of Fractured Bonnie in that case. I think I want to keep him in A tier, but he could be bottom of S. Yeah, he's definitely notably better than Fractured, and I actually don't think Fractured is that good. I think like here, maybe lower, like here. Probably, yeah, higher than him, but not higher than these guys, except maybe Hydra, but I don't know. I'll have to look into that more. And then Gunslinger probably could be higher. I don't know. I should actually use Gunslinger because I haven't used him yet. But looking at his stats, it does seem pretty good. And then, of course, Slick Bonnie. He kind of just doesn't do enough damage. But he is like another like cheap explosion character. So he is at least C tier. I think this Tavern Chica seems to literally just be a better version of him from what I can tell. We actually scratched that. He only costs a little bit more to place down and stuff. I think he actually is pretty up there. I don't think he's higher than these EVOS though. I don't know actually. He seems really cheap and actually does like almost their damage. Yeah, so for comparison, I could also probably put this Chica lower, but I'll just keep her here anyways. I also think I want to put these guys in A tier anyways. I don't really truly care about the supports tiers, just like their rankings. Like, I don't really think these supports are like, these range supports are better than these damage supports. So yeah, I think that's the best order. Anyways, onto Slick Bonnie and Tavern Chica. Tavern Chica, well, I don't really care about her. So Slick Bonnie, when I'm comparing him to like Spectral Chica does 3,750 damage, which is 1,750 more than Slick Bonnie. Slick Bonnie, the thing about him is that he has really bad range, but he's also like way cheaper. So there's like an argument for them both, but yeah, I do think he belongs like decently high. But yeah, like an actually usable character, basically. So I think he's fine here. I think the only character who would like be notably better is his Empress Chica, which is a little weird that she's in the same tier, I suppose. So I guess she could be an A tier, but I don't fully know. She basically just needs a buff for what she is. Like, she shouldn't be as what she is, in my opinion. In fact, let me do some more research about her too. Yeah, so it does say that she does like a dot splash thingy or something, so she might be doing more DPS than like 3600, which is her max right now. And if she does do at least more DPS, then that would put her higher, but it's just her DPS is not that high. I'll just keep her in A tier anyways. But yeah, she does need to be a better tower. There's obviously like better alternatives. Like, basically these cheaper mid-game characters in general are just not that good right now. I guess I definitely could put her higher because I don't think Leviathan is just that much better than her right now. In fact, I think like a good mid-game character would be this Bounty Mangle because he is generating cash for you as well. Even though his stats aren't really better than her stats because they basically do the same DPS, but Empress Chica has splash damage. But I think in this case, this guy generating money is more valuable, so you can actually get the better characters. Because these two characters would both end up getting overwhelmed anyways in difficult content. So I don't know, she's really weird for me right now. All I know is that she just needs a buff, in my opinion. Should probably do a video for her. Alright, so next we have Outlaw Freddy. And apparently he's a splash character. So if that is true, that's pretty good. But I didn't even know he's a splash character. If he is one though, he's like basically a better version of this guy, I think. Yeah, I am using the wiki right now, and you guys can see it for yourself too, right? Like, he's doing 9000 DPS and he's doing slash type character. And then with some decent range as well. All of that considered, it seems like he's the best one here so far. He seems like another Springtrap. Springtrap might end up having the better splash. If anything, this Outlaw Freddy might just be like another glitch puppeteer or something. Because like, I bet his splash ability isn't really that good. But his DPS is way higher though. And he actually does cost less than glitch puppeteer. So all those stats look really nice. So I think he belongs in the higher tier of S tier. And then if it is single target, then he just seems like he's a worse version of Gunslinger. So I'm pretty sure it is Splash. I'm sure the wiki isn't lying to me. But yeah, everyone else here, I do actually know how good they are. So yeah. Anyways, so Nautic, these three, Nautic, Crusher, Prime, and Evo Shadow Bonnie. I'm just gonna call him Evo Shadow Bonnie. Evo Shadow Bonnie is pretty good. I think they're really close to Springtrap. So Springtrap has more range and Springtrap is cheaper, but then Shadow Bonnie has less range, does more damage, but has a full AoE effect. Basically, Shadow Bonnie has the AoE and more damage, and I think Outlaw is just better because he's a better Springtrap. So they do the same DPS. Outlaw has better range, and then now the only argument is that he only has splash and then you have full AoE. I think the fact that the range is pretty bad, it's not the worst possible range, but it's pretty down there. I think it makes it really hard to completely abuse the AoE ability like with Goliath. Like, basically, for an AoE character to be really good, they have to have at least 25 range, because this Shadow Bonnie has 20 range right now, and then this Goliath has 30 range. Goliath also does more damage, but Goliath is like 3 times as expensive, so I think I'm perfectly fine with like the placements of these guys. And I'm sure you guys know eventually Goliath is going to get an evolution anyways, and it's most likely that that evolution Goliath is just going to be way better than this evolution Shadow Bonnie anyways. And I should really be trying out this character, because if he's really like that good, then I should probably make a video on him. But yeah, I think for now, Shadow Bonnie, the evolution Shadow Bonnie can be higher than this Springtrap. And then next up will be the Nautic Mangle. By the way, I will be having top 3 like at the very end. I think he's better than all of them. So Nautic Mangle is more expensive like than these characters, except for Shadow Bonnie. Has the same range as Outlaw, I believe. Let me just double check. Yeah, these stats are really good. So yeah, it goes up to 30 range, which is the same as Outlaw. And then has the DPS of 12,000, and of course does the piercing ability. Those stats are extremely good. Like, he does cost 10,000 more than this Outlaw Freddy, but like for the extra damage, like extra 3,000, I think it is worth it. I could see Outlaw still being higher, but yeah, I do think he is for sure higher than Shadow Bonnie, because he just does more damage, obviously, and is actually cheaper than the Shadow Bonnie, and of course has more range. So yeah, I do believe he's up here. And then next up we have Prime Valk, and honestly, so Prime Valk has the highest total DPS right now, up to 30,000 DPS. Let me also pull up the wiki real quick. Okay, so we can see that Prime Valk does end up having like the most range from the characters we've been talking about right now, up to 35 range, and then yeah, max DPS 30,000. The thing is that Prime Valk is also the most expensive one we're talking about right now, up to 60,000 like cash to place down. The upgrades I believe aren't even like that much more expensive though, luckily. Yeah, like the first one is actually cheaper than the actual placement one, so which is like a first, I'm pretty sure, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, it's still really pricey though. And basically I don't think Prime Valk is actually really better than these characters, at least not Nautic Mangle. Like, I think Nautic Mangle is for sure better because he costs half as much, and I think that piercing mechanic is just extremely valuable. He's also like barely less DPS. And then you guys have to just see it for yourself, but like these splashing characters just kill the swarms of enemies way faster, and the only time the single DPS really like shines is when they obviously do a lot more damage, which Prime Valk does do. Like, she does a lot more damage, and when there's obviously like a boss. But even though she does a lot more damage, she also costs a lot more to place down and max out. And she also has 4 placements as well. Meanwhile, like, these characters are good with like 3 or less placements, so that contributes even more to her being a lot more expensive. I think if she literally was cheaper or as cheap as these characters, then it's like a way better argument where like, yeah, I can see her being better than them straight up. But like, I think her performance can end up being worse than these characters, and she's a lot more expensive as well. I don't think she might be more expensive than Goliath, or she's cheaper than Goliath. So from practicality, I think I would straight up place her all the way down to here, and I think I'll keep it like that. Like, you guys might see like the DPS, but like it just doesn't, I don't know. I should definitely make a video on her, but I don't think she's as good as what the stats show. But yeah, I definitely need to make a video where I'm like showing off all of them, like a whole like fight or something. But yeah, I don't think she's better than them. Anyways, let's move on to these characters though. Alright, so Reactor Freddy. These two characters are actually really similar. So Reactor Freddy does half the DPS of this Astral Bonnie, but he is cheaper, and then they both have like the same ability where they're just splashing and doing like damage, and I believe they're also the same range. Let me just double check. Yeah, they also have the same range, so they're actually just extremely similar. It's just one, you know, does way more damage, and then the other one's like cheaper. So with all things considered, so he costs 40,000 Let me just place him here for now, because all three of these are obviously S tier characters. Let me just talk about Phone Guy first. So Phone Guy, he's easily the best starter. It's hard to rank starters to starters, so I'll just keep them here. But yeah, Phone Guy, he does do like less DPS than these two. In fact, I think Tarnish straight up just does double the DPS of Phone Guy. But Phone Guy also does slowing, and he has the full AoE ability, so he's just way better because of the full AoE. He just kills the enemies way more consistently, and he also does enough damage where he can actually kill the enemies, unlike someone like Patriot, where you could be like, oh, what about Patriot though? He does like an AoE ability. Well, this guy actually does damage, you know. And also the slowing ability makes him technically do more damage as well than like the actual DPS, because they stay inside of the AoE zone for longer. So all of that combined, it just makes him really busted. And it like the actual DPS itself doesn't matter. Like, sure, we can like talk about Prime Valk and then like another one of these characters and be like, they are endgame characters, so they are more focused against bosses anyways. But these guys are starter characters, and these guys are focused on the swarms of weak small HP characters anyways. So why would we care about their DPS like for bosses or something? Like, these guys aren't supposed to fight bosses. They're supposed to fight the swarms of enemies that show up at the start of the stage anyways. Like, we don't care if they like who does the best against a boss. We care about who does the best against the swarms, which is what we fight like round one. Like, we don't fight a boss round one, we fight swarms of enemies round one. So that makes Phone Guy like insanely broken. Anyways, I'm sure you guys know that anyways. I also posted a short about that, and yeah, you guys can see that the performance of Phone Guy is just way superior. Anyways, let's talk about Reactor Freddy and Astral Bonnie and where they should be placed. So this guy does the same DPS as this Nautic Crusher Mangle, but Nautic Crusher Mangle has 10 more range. So obviously Nautic Mangle Crusher is better, and it also costs 13,000 less. So Nautic Crusher Mangle is straight up just a better version than this Reactor Freddy. So then now Reactor Freddy, is he better than Outlaw? He is basically double the price as Outlaw, so I do think he's worse. And then he's only 10,000 more than this Shadow Bonnie, and then Shadow Bonnie is only 5 less range. So it's crazy, but I do think he's actually worse than Shadow Bonnie as well. And then now we're talking about him versus Prime. Do I really want to down Prime that much? Prime is 20,000 more expensive and then does more DPS but doesn't do splash. I do think it does kind of sound like Reactor Freddy is better than Prime, but I can also see Prime being better in this case. Like, he's actually like in that price range where he isn't too much more expensive than Prime or too much cheaper than Prime, and his stats isn't like that much better, so I could see it. But yeah, I think this is where it's actually close, you know. In fact, it's like probably these three who are pretty close. And then Astral Bonnie, since he is straight up just a better version, he actually has a case, so he's doing double the DPS. I think Nautic Mangle is just better though, because he has more range, does half the damage, but I do think his piercing mechanic does splash better, so there is that, I suppose. And he costs half as much, so he costs half as much and does half as much DPS, so that does make, you know, sense. And he also has more range, so in that case he's more viable in story mode because he costs half as much, and then like since he does half as much damage, I do think like that logic, he does end up being better. And then Outlaw, I don't think Outlaw's better. Yeah, I think I can probably safely say that. But yeah, anyways, that is every character ranked. And then yeah, now time for the top 3. Obviously Nautic Mangle was always going to be there, and then probably just Astral, and then Phone Guy. Yeah, I'm going to put Phone Guy up there. I think he's deserving of top 3. Like, he's just that insane. I don't really care about, like, it's weird to compare a starter to like these endgame characters. But yeah, and this is why I usually have like top 3, like, oh, the best single target, the best AoE, and then the best starter. I think this whole time I should have definitely been doing like best endgame, midgame, and starter, but like there wasn't really truly endgame characters until now. And yeah, I feel like this kind of suits it. Like, this is definitely a starter, you're definitely endgame, and you're probably endgame to mid game. Like, you're close enough to mid game. So yeah, like, yeah, but I would put it in like this order, maybe this order, or even this order. I don't know. Phone Guy is just so broken. Like, he actually kind of just can beat all of the story mode stages by himself anyways. His only, like, the only thing he needs help with is the actual damage. And then his support with the slowing ability, like, that's why Galleon Foxy is so high up, because he does have the best slow support. But I feel like Phone Guy could technically like replace Galleon Foxy as a slowing character. Like, he's definitely better than Galleon Foxy is all I'm gonna say. But as for who you should bring as your slowing character, I think it's not an impossible case where Phone Guy is just the better slowing character. Even though he only does 30% slow and then Galleon does 60% slow, it's nice to have that extra slot where like you combine your slowing character to your starter character, and then now you don't have to bring one of both. So then you save your slot for like another Astro Bonnie. Like, say for example, for your team, you're obviously going to bring a support, and then now you're going to have to bring your starter and then bring your slowing character, and that only leads you to have 2 good DPS characters. But then if you combine your slowing character with your starting character, now you have Phone Guy. Now you can bring another really good DPS character. Does that make sense? So yeah, like I think in that case, Phone Guy is just that good. Like, he's basically the best support and starter, and the value for that is insane. So yeah, and I also think I'm gonna skip out on the category tier list just because of how long it takes me. So instead of doing that, I'll just mention like the best characters for their respective thing. So the best starter, obviously Phone Guy. The best late game, I will say Astro Bonnie, just because I can see him being mid game. And then yeah, best mid game would probably just be him. If he's too expensive for mid game, then I would say Outlaw Freddy, just because he's a lot cheaper, to like 17,000. And I do think mid game, yeah, he could be up to that. If you want cheaper for mid game, I guess Galleon Foxy, yeah, because he's 8,000 and he's still really good. He's still like the best slowing character. Best moneymaker, I think, would be Bounty Mangle, because you know he makes the most money. I'm pretty sure if Jackpot Freddy does make as much money, then he would be the better moneymaker just because he's cheaper. And then best support, still the Spring Bonnie. Best solo DPS, obviously this Prime Valkyrie. Still really impressive for a single DPS character, since her DPS is just way higher. And also, I do think Astro Bonnie is just easily better than her, by the way, just because his DPS is really close to her DPS, and they also both cost the same amount to place. So I feel like it's kind of just a no-brainer. He's better than Valkyrie, but yeah, he does have 10 less range though, which is pretty notable, and then 6,000 less DPS, but since he does splash, I feel like it doesn't truly matter. But yeah, anyways, that's besides the point. But yeah, I think that's all the categories that I need to cover. But yeah, that's gonna be the tier list for this week. I'll be back for another tier list once the next update drops, which is literally tomorrow, and I'm gonna be live streaming for that. There's gonna be a bunch of new characters, so I'll be making a tier list either like a week or 2 after that one. I think every 2 weeks for a new tier list is like perfectly fine. But yeah, there's still a lot of characters I still need to test out and stuff. But yeah, for now, that's gonna be in this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.